And we are live. So to anybody who's watching us, we're about to start.
At long last.
At long last. Yeah, well I don't think our 12 followers are actually watching this live. I think they seriously are just waiting for us to post it, and then they watch it at their leisure. Because they're just like us, working ministers, so they're gonna get it when they need it. All right, if we are ready, then in 3, 2, 1. Happy Monday, and we're back. Welcome to episode 22 of Monday Morning Catholic. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, and as usual, I've assembled our regular cast of characters this morning. Linda Reed, Nancy Smith, and Steve Romano. Happy Monday to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How did we all fare Mother's Day weekend?
I did great.
It was busy, yes. Very busy.
Now, raise your hand if you had First Communion. And that would be the entire crew.
And raise your hand if you had May crowning.
And that would be the entire crew. So we have celebrated Mother Mary, and we have celebrated all our little first communicants this past weekend. We had 22. And that
we had 21.
You had 21?
We trumped you all. We had 28.
Oh, gee. So we're all in the 20s.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's been a consistent, we've been consistently between 22 and 32 for this was my sixth First Communion.
About the same for us, too, as well.
Yeah, so we're running around the same numbers. However, we have I don't know if you do, but Linda, you have a school.
Yes.
Now, are the children in your school receiving First Communion?
Yes. They all prepare together.
Okay.
The children in the school and the religious ed kids.
Right.
But they celebrate separately or together?
Nope, together.
Okay.
Together.
So some of that 28. Some of that 28. Oh, that's right, Stephen. So some of that 28 does not belong to your parish.
Well, in the school, they had the option of celebrating with their class or receiving in their own parish.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, quite frankly.
So
I'm not sure how many from the school prepared together but maybe received in their own parish. I really don't know.
Okay, how about you?
I'm the music director, not the DRE.
Right, and I know, and I realize that.
Yeah, we had 21. And it was the combination of the parish school and the religious ed. So I'm gonna say that there might be a few children in the parish school that aren't Catholic, maybe that
they wouldn't have made their communion.
That's right.
Because 21 to me sounds kind of low.
Right.
The school and the religious ed, but about 10 years ago, we had enough children where we had to do 2.
Oh, wow.
Because our small church just wouldn't, we had like 55 or 60.
Wow.
About 10 years ago, we did too.
Yeah, and in a church that only seats 380.
Oh,
wow. That's all your church seats?
Yeah, 380, 400. It's a tight, and actually it went down a little bit when we put the new pews in because we took out a couple of rows to make more room. But,
okay.
But about 10 years ago, we used to have two liturgies on a Saturday morning, but now we're just down to 1, which is fine with me. So
okay. So see, we are the parishes without a school. So we have the reverse effect, where those 22 are our
religious ed. Yeah. Okay.
Well, faith formation, which I love to call it.
And 5 that we know of.
And there are 5 that we know of who have received it in their schools. I have the reverse effect where I have no idea who those kids are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to try to come up with that is very difficult because when people register in our parish, they sometimes tell us where the kids are and sometimes don't. And not all of them, we can't say, well, then let's look at who we're giving subsidy to because not all of them are getting subsidy.
Yeah.
So we probably have more out there who received First Eucharist in the various schools, but then again, they don't have to tell us that either. So when the kid comes for confirmation, we ask, "Where'd you make First Communion?" It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people say, "Well, my kid received it here." No, they didn't.
Yeah.
And I
No, they
actually
didn't.
saw some pictures of your First Communion because I have friends, I guess, whose granddaughter made their First Communion at St.
Okay.
Christopher's, at St. Teresa's.
Okay.
So I saw a nice shot. I think, Joanne, were you playing the piano?
Yes, I was playing.
Yeah, that was your head I saw.
That was
Okay.
my head.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we had a good weekend. We crowned Mary. We had First Communions. And now let's look back, because that's what we're here for every week. So grab your cup of whatever, and mine happens to be tea today. And of course, I have my lovely little LTP, Liturgical Training Publications, mug with me today. I have a variety of mugs, and I love this one. Stand up for your rights.
Exactly.
Okay.
As only a liturgist would drink from.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, I do have the music ones too, so
Do
I
you?
am equal opportunity drinker here. And we're going to stop it. We're going to take a look back at the liturgies of this past weekend. We're not going to talk about the First Communion ones because they had all kinds of different scriptures, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'll take a poll, though, at the end and see who did what scriptures just to find out. But we're going to take a look back at our liturgies and see what we heard and how it matches what the readings were for this past weekend. And, of course, we start off with our segment called Do You Hear What I Hear? All right, the readings for this weekend on the fourth Sunday of Easter were Acts 2, which was the conclusion, we're still in Acts 2, the conclusion of Peter's Pentecost speech. It was a very long speech
Yes.
and very complicated. And but the thing is, you hear all these other pieces of it, and then on Pentecost, you hear the beginning.
Yeah.
So the wisdom of the Council Fathers who
Yes.
decided that we would hear the beginning of it on Pentecost and the rest of it during Easter. What do I know? I'm not a scripture scholar. So, but this is what it would be the conclusion of that speech, where he ties everything in, which of course, with Jesus being a shepherd, which a shepherd to folks in that day and age and in that place would be a very familiar figure.
Yes.
So continuing to hone in on familiarity so that people would understand. We match it with Psalm 23, which is, of course, the famous, "The Lord is my shepherd." Now, musicians, do we all know how many musical variations of Psalm 23 we own?
350.
730.
350, 730,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we own 4.
You own 4.
Everybody has, everybody I think that's ever composed for the liturgy has
Yeah.
composed a 23rd Psalm.
I will
and
agree.
More than one version of it.
I will agree. Because it's a very, very familiar and well-used
Yeah.
psalm and fits very many occasions. And that's the whole thing. It goes from weddings to funerals to bar mitzvahs to first communions to just about anything.
Fourth Sunday of Easter.
Right, where its place is in the fourth Sunday of Easter. And then First Peter, second chapter, which really almost, and upon reading it, I was quite, and then hearing it, it almost sounds like Isaiah 55. Or no, not 55, 52, Suffering Servant.
The
Basically almost a verbatim, sort of, this is the suffering servant.
yeah.
It's sort of rehashing it to connect the dots that Jesus is the Messiah. And then, of course, we go to John 10, 1 through 10, which is not the familiar shepherd looking for the lost sheep, but the sheep gate.
Yeah.
That he is the one to which all of us enter through. And that was where most of the homilies took place, was trying to connect that dot. I will say that the homily I heard was more on vocations, because this past weekend, I guess, was vocations weekend. And I can see where you would connect that with
Sure.
with the Good Shepherd. So, but I'm interested to hear what you all experienced. So, did you all flip a coin before we started to see who wanted to go first?
I'll go first this week.
Okay, go right ahead,
Go,
Stephen.
We have the homily was, as you may have guessed, the Good Shepherd.
There you go.
And actually, Father Zeno did a nice job, as I told you ladies before. Our assistant is being transferred in July 1st.
Aww.
So he actually kind of he began the homily with, "The harvest is plenty, but laborers are few,"
Oh boy, yes.
and then kind of weaved it in with the whole shepherd theme. And interestingly enough, he talked about, one of the things he talked about was Pope Francis, when he said way back when that the priests need to smell their sheep. Need
Smell
to take
like
on the
their
smell
sheep.
of
Smell
their
like
sheep.
their sheep.
Yes. And so
Not
that
smell their sheep.
that got a big chuckle out of people.
Okay.
And, yeah. Smell. Isn't that what I said? Smell like their
No.
sheep?
No.
Oh,
You said they have to smell their sheep.
well, it's the same difference.
Oh,
Anyway.
no, not necessarily.
No, it's not.
No. You don't have dogs, do you?
No, we have cats.
Yeah, exactly.
Cat. And he talked about how Jesus is the shepherd, but we are also shepherds, shepherding other people to the gate. And he just kind of weaved it all in, and he weaved in the fact that we need vocations, and it's not that Jesus isn't calling; it's that our society today is not making the responding very easy.
That's true.
That's
That's
very
Very,
true.
very true.
And so I thought it was clever how he weaved in losing our assistant with the shepherd, and also the harvest is plenty, but laborers are few. So,
You can tell what was on his mind.
Yeah.
Yes, very
Yeah,
much so.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the he kind of just expanded on those thoughts. So
Okay.
The homily that I heard, it was Father, a military, retired military, who had been to Turkey, and described a, not that long ago, chorale, if you will, made in the centuries-old tradition, of just having a semicircle of rocks and the one opening, and the sheep would go in there, and the shepherd in the olden days would lay across, and you hear the cat, don't you? Sorry.
I'm
And,
sorry, I'm trying to mute my microphone so I
know.
can laugh a little.
know.
Sorry.
And so he was saying just how much things haven't changed on that level, but his equivalence was how as well the sheep know their herder, their master. That's as well, and then the master knows their sheep. That's his equation with how well God knows us and knows our needs. And the one piece that was so telling, for me it was simplistic. I needed simplicity. And he said, when the sheep are asleep at night, he said, their shepherd could walk among them and they won't be disturbed. If a stranger walked among them, they would all wake up. Now, I'm assuming this is true. I can only assume it's true, but it's just kind of a visual to how well our God knows us, what our needs are, and if it really isn't God. We might talk on false gods and such later on, but nonetheless. So he was specifically really talking about the Good Shepherd. Our Good
Yes,
Shepherd.
I was there for that homily as well, and I really liked what he had to say about the sheep, about how much the shepherd cared for the sheep, and how he would sleep across that entrance, and how he would not let anyone get near them, and that's that image of that caring God that I really, at this point in my life, need. So it's good to hear that kind of, because we live in a world where God can, there are a lot of scary things going on, and we need, a lot of us want one of those gods that's going to get out there and, and the Jews did at the time too. They were looking for the militaristic, king that would save them, and that does not have a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No.
But
No.
shepherd does. Shepherd
for
translates to that.
For us, it does.
Yes, it does.
For
But I think it
them,
would be for them, wouldn't it?
well, not necessarily. For them, shepherds were like the lowliest class of society.
Right.
True.
Shepherds were like, you know, the homeless beggars you see on the streets in Rome or something. Shepherds did not have
That is not my dog.
this.
That's
Is that
my
Evan?
that's my no, that's Wilson, my in-laws Bichon.
We're going to start calling this show the Animal Hour.
The Animal Hour. Yeah.
Catholic Animal Hour, because it is just too funny. Ouch.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, go on, Linda.
I totally lost my train. No, the shepherd. What, you know? You say shepherd to a first-century Judean, and they went, ew.
Yeah.
You know.
True. True.
They were the lowest segment of society. It's like if you couldn't have any other skill, you could watch sheep. You know.
Yeah, but I thought lepers were like the lowest of society.
Well, they couldn't even be in society.
Right, exactly.
They were out there somewhere.
Right.
But yeah, the shepherds were. They were not. They didn't have any really good standing in society.
Which
So-
goes back to, I bet, way back then, they actually did smell like their sheep.
Yes, I'm sure they did.
Exactly.
Sure they did smell like their sheep because they spent all their time with their sheep.
Of course.
But their sheep knew them.
And that was one of the reasons why they made such a big deal out of David when he was anointed. He was out watching the sheep. He was the
Exactly.
lowliest of the
Yeah.
of the brothers.
That's right.
And they bring him in, and he's the king. So,
Exactly.
there you go.
So what did you hear?
Well, I heard shepherd, but I heard mother. It was Mother's
hybrid.
Day this weekend, and so here's what we heard. We are being called sheep, and that's not the greatest thing to be called. Unlike lambs, sheep are not always the cuddliest of creatures. They will wander away, get lost, maimed, and panic over just about anything. But
Oh, like me.
yes, Jesus
There you
is basically saying that, yes, at times we can be cute and cuddly, and there are many times when we're not so cuddly, when we are difficult to love, difficult to be around, and just plain difficult. Jesus reminds us, he says, that even when we are being at our most difficult, the Good Shepherd is still calling our name.
Uh-huh.
And so isn't this like our mothers, who would think that our mothers love us when we're cute and cuddly, and there are times when we test their patience.
Oh, nice segue.
Yes, there are times when we are not easy to be around. There are times when we are very difficult, but our mothers love us anyway. And our mother's voice is the first voice that we know and respond to and love. And this is the kind of response that we should have to our shepherd's voice.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very nicely
Yeah.
done. Very nicely done.
That was very nice the way he segued into
Yeah.
that. Nice.
Yeah. You know.
I'm surprised my husband didn't tell me about it.
He said, who beside your mother would make you that hot chocolate with the marshmallow fluff on top? You know.
My
said
mother
that's-
was Portuguese. She wouldn't have known how to make that.
No, I know. My mother made me the Ronies, you know.
I was just going to say,
The Ronies?
yeah, the macaroni.
Macaroni.
Oh,
Macaroni.
macaronis. Okay.
Yeah, and my mother would
You're
have
gonna have
made
that
me.
first syllable for Nancy today.
My mother would have made me the chicken broth.
Yeah.
With the tiny macaroni in it when I didn't feel good. You know.
But he's Portuguese, so but evidently his mother, who is Irish, made him the hot chocolate. So,
There you go.
Okay. All right.
so that's what I
ve-
heard.
That was very, I remember a friend of mine, a priest friend of mine, who started one of his homilies once by saying, "Sheep are dumb."
Yes.
And and he would know because his father raised sheep.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I've always had that image in my head ever since he gave that homily a very long time ago. But it's true.
Yes, they are.
We are followers. I mean, if you're going to go down that path.
Yeah.
And we need to follow someone, or we get lost.
And we recognize the voice.
Right.
A little bit that I left out. We recognize the voice because we have a relationship with that person.
Bingo.
And that's why
there it is.
we recognize and respond to that voice.
Exactly.
If we don't have a relationship with the Lord, then we don't recognize his voice.
Exactly.
And especially in this culture, it's really hard.
And culture has a lot to do with it.
Yes. Yes.
Stephen, go ahead. I think
I was going to say, as the song says, as when the shepherd calls his sheep,
yes,
we know and
hear his voice.
Yep.
Yes. Or the one that was going through my head. Oh, we like sheep.
Oh, no. You got Handel's Messiah going on.
I was thinking of that, too. Yeah.
He's doing Gift of Finest Wheat, and you're doing Handel's Messiah. Have gone astray.
Yeah.
Actually, the second reading brought to mind one of the songs that I've done, Ours Were the Griefs He Bore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's from OCP. Yeah, it was almost
it is.
verbatim. Yeah.
It is.
Well, it looks like it looks like everything, there was a lot of fodder for homily this weekend, and it looks like most everything got touched upon in one way or another, including vocations, including Mary.
Mother's Day.
Lots of sweaty sheep.
And lots of sweaty sheep.
Although I don't know if they sweat or not. I'm not sure.
With all that wool? How
No.
could they not?
True. Well, dogs don't sweat, but that's okay. Oh, another whole story. All right. Now that you've been halfway through Easter, are you changing up? And this is an aside. Are you changing up music a little bit, or are we still keeping the same old, same old? Because I know most people are still doing the Psalm 118 and.
We're doing the Psalm only because it unifies the season.
Right. Did anyone do Shepherd something?
We did. We did Shepherd Me, O God, for communion.
Oh, there you go.
And we did The King of Love, My Shepherd Is.
Oh, I like that same.
Same for us. We did The King of Love, and then for the opening, and I managed to get in all 6 verses.
Whoa!
Believe it or not.
Really?
And, oh yes, and because they incense.
Uh-huh.
So I got in all 6 verses and a modulation too. I was very proud of
Ooh!
myself, so.
That doesn't usually happen.
And at communion we did the old standby Gift of Finest Wheat.
Yeah.
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
The other piece we did was a really pretty one by Jim Chaponis, With a Shepherd's Care.
Yeah, that's nice.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Really pretty. And the thing that I like about With a Shepherd's Care, it goes, with a shepherd's care, God guides us. With a father's strength, God guides
that's
us.
right.
With a mother's love, God nurtures us, which makes it very appropriate for this particular Shepherd Sunday. It worked very well. So.
Now, in your crownings, well, let me ask first. First communion, just while we're in the scripture segment, most of our first communions were not on a Sunday, not during a Sunday liturgy.
Right.
What were your scriptures that you used?
Bread of Life, very watered down for 7-year-olds.
Bread of Life. Okay. John 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, taken out of the children's lectionary. Very watered down for 7-year-olds.
CEV, Contemporary English Version.
Yeah, yeah. And the first reading, it was only one reading, and it was, oh gosh, I can't. Oh my, it really made an impression on me.
All right. Next.
I understand. Next. Well, the only thing that happened at ours, I'm not going to speak to what the scriptures were specifically, except it was, you can't make this stuff up, and it was just a teeny little thing.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
The reader who was, I guess, hadn't done it before.
She's one of our catechists, and she'd never done this before.
I'm sitting near Joanne, and she says, "Oh my God, she's reading the second reading as the first reading. Oh my God." So when I went up there, I looked at when I went up there for the psalm, I looked down, and indeed the second reading was up there. I flipped it back, and so we had the second shall be first and the first shall be second.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was
And no
gonna
one
argue with
probably
me.
noticed a thing.
No.
Absolutely not.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to avoid, because had she gone and read the second reading twice,
Yeah.
then it would have been more noticeable.
Yes.
And then she would have been flustered in the middle of it, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I had set her up before. I had gone over everything with her, and I had turned the page back. And somewhere between my doing that and her getting up there, someone had fooled with the page.
Must have been the wind.
And the cute thing was when I
Could have been.
flipped it over back to the first, she went up and she flipped it back to the second.
Oh,
And I went back, I flipped it again.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, and I just tapped my finger on it and I smiled.
Yeah, you were good. You were good. She really appreciated it, I'll tell you. She told me that. But we used from the children's lectionary, from the contemporary English version, we used Acts 2, which we had just heard last weekend, the watered-down version of what we heard last weekend about the followers of Jesus, where they broke bread and prayed together.
Okay.
So you got that happy little idyllic scene. And yes, we have a second reading, and that was the Colossians 3, which is the be kind, gentle, humble, meek, and patient.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
And then our gospel was the Luke version of feeding the 5,000.
Okay.
You know, with the loaves and fishes.
Yes.
That's when we don't have First Communion on Sunday morning at a Sunday liturgy. We
Yeah.
use these readings. Stephen, what did you do?
We did Acts 2, same thing as you.
Okay.
And then there was no second reading. And then the gospel was John, but it was I am the vine,
Okay.
you are
Oh,
the
okay.
branches.
We have been told time.
So we obviously, I plugged in, we have been told for the
course.
preparation of the gifts. So,
Mhm.
because I'm good like that. So, yeah.
And there was one thing that happened at our first communion. They only received the bread. Okay.
Okay.
At first communion, they only received the bread. But this morning, when they came back, some of them came back
right.
for the May procession or the crowning of Mary. One of the little boys, who between receiving his first communion and coming back to church today, had been to the emergency room and had stitches in his head.
Oh no.
He received the bread and received from the cup. So you could see his parents had worked with him.
So
Good.
cute. So
Yes.
cute.
Yes.
We
he
offer
received from the
both.
cup. We don't at First Communion, and tomorrow we have a staff meeting, and I will mention that.
Yeah, we do. We offer both.
And not
But
all
I-
kids go. It's about half and half.
No, it's about, well, it used to be more than half and half. But this year it got into half and half because, and this may sound, now to us adults, this may not be an issue, but to children it is. We changed the brand of wine we're using,
Oh, geez.
and it's heavier.
No, it's
So-
an issue for adults, let me tell you.
Well,
Because-
I don't see as many adults react to it the way kids do.
We
So when
were
they go up
using-
for the-
Mm.
Go ahead. What?
No, at one point, we had got some wine donated, and it
Oh.
was awful.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Somebody snuck in the Manischewitz, didn't they?
Whoa, it was awful. It was awful.
Oh, jeez.
It was all I could do to not make a face when I went up to receive, you know?
Well, we got it. We ended up with a heavier red wine
Oh.
since I think September.
Okay.
So when we were rehearsing the children last week, we start at their retreat day. It's the
Uh-huh.
first time they get a chance, and we let the parents know that we're giving them the option. And I tell them at the beginning of the year, if you want your child to do this, give through the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Introduce it to them in your family home. Now, to Portuguese people, that's not a problem.
No,
Like, the kids have been drinking it since they were 3.
not to
their
Italian
bottles.
people either.
Okay, no, not in the bottle. But you've been at the table, and then, your madrina or your padrino comes over and says, here, have a little wine.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
This is how I started. But, and now this is normal for Portuguese families, Italian families, and whatever. So these kids, we ask them to do that through the year. And then, so we get them there for the fun day, and usually we'll get one or two who haven't done it, and they go,
Yeah,
you see the face, and they're like, I don't think I want to do this. But this time, we saw a lot of, ooh,
Yeah.
that face, and it was like, oh,
Ooh.
okay. So Saturday when they were up there and they were going through it, yes, it was half and half. This morning when they came back, none of them went to the cup.
Oh.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and to some people that's not an issue. To me,
I think it's an issue.
To me, it's the fullness of the sacrament, and I will always err on the side of the fullness of the sacrament. But it's just one of those calls where it's not, if your pastor wants to change it, that's fine. Yeah. But it's not, and you can't, and I bet you there were some people who would rather have a white wine than a red wine. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but you know what? This isn't a piano.
At that point, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm of the mind at that point it's Jesus.
Crying out loud.
Right.
How about wine coolers?
No, yeah, no.
Oh gosh, coolers.
No.
White sin, come on, guys.
Yeah. Right.
White sin.
But that's the kind of, so that's what I was one of the things I did notice more often, because little kids, that's why we go through it with them early, and don't think it's just the wine. Some of them, when they put the host in their mouth for the first time, the unconsecrated host, and they put it in their mouth, you should see the faces.
Yeah.
You get like, you get kids like trying to figure out what to do with it. And that's why we go through rehearsal with them.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, so we can help them out with that.
But they don't do that for First Communion. They don't offer both.
Ah, gee.
Actually, if the truth be told, yesterday they were hanging from the rafters in St. Thomas, and I went through three communion songs.
Wow.
So I was really glad we didn't have the cup.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. I can totally understand that. All right. Well, this brings us right into our second segment, which is the right stuff. Since we're already talking about rituals, I will make a public confession.
Okay.
And Nancy knows where I'm going with this. I have been a musician for 30 some odd years.
Okay, I know where you're going.
Okay. And for the first time, Saturday afternoon, I had the wrong music.
Oh.
I'm announcing the song, and she looks over at me and says, "That's not what I got."
Honest to
God.
God.
Said, "Well, what do you have?" She says, "What went wrong?" I said, "I don't care what went wrong. What music do you have?"
What must have happened? What must have happened was, we get sent the file.
Yeah.
In our, electronically, but we also get it as part of the email attachment. So I happened to be in the email attachment and not the file. So I was flipping up on my iPad, and what happened was I may have touched it and it retracted back to the first entry, which was last week.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up putting all the music for last week in my book.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't comment too much about what music.
But here was the funny part, Nance.
Yeah.
I'm telling you beforehand, I got to play that darn Hallelujah, Let the Holy Anthem Rise.
Yeah.
And you never acknowledge. You're like,
because until I get there, I planned this several weeks ago.
Right.
Until I get there that day, I don't look at it.
Right.
Because I know them, so I don't need to worry about it.
Right.
I know what the Psalm and the Gospel Acclamation is, because it's the seasonal that we've been using.
Right.
So
that's a real scary feeling, though.
Scary?
Yeah.
I still had another mass to do.
That's a real scary feeling.
I had that happen. I was at Providence College one time, filling in on a Sunday night, and I had one song, and the cantor, who was some distance away, announces a totally different one.
Oh no!
But thankfully, I have a good memory, so I just rolled with it, and I played it. I forget what it was, but it wasn't. But it still was disconcerting. But I think it was. The Celtic Alleluia, Sending Forth.
Yeah.
I had in my book, and the cantor guy announced, "Holy God, we praise Thy name."
Oh, geez.
Boy. Well, at least it was one
that one.
So.
Well, what was cute to me was she was, instead of just going with the flow and keep moving, she says, "What happened? I don't care what happened. What song do you have?"
We can't discuss that now.
And of course, now after Mass is over, my concern is I have another Mass to do.
Yes.
And Nancy's like, well, just have them do what you're doing. And I'm going, oh, not at St. Christopher's.
No.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that
we're
would have
going
been
to
fine.
confuse the confusable.
As
You
long
know,
as you have the numbers, that have been fun. They did them last week, for God's sake.
I know that, but the last thing I wanted to do that, so I tear into my office, and I'm grabbing everything that's, I've got the file open instead of the,
Yes.
the rolling screen iPad, and I'm going back and forth, and I look and I go, we have been told. I went, and I'm looking at the copy going, and this is the D version, and I only play it in E flat.
Oh, see, I think E flat's too high. I play it in D.
I play it in D. Yeah.
What I do is I play it in E flat and I modulate. I like at St. Christopher's you can do that because they have an electric piano, so you just transpose down a half step. But my fingers don't do that
Okay.
accompaniment in D. It can't do it. It only does it in E flat.
No, mine.
Which actually D is easier, but we won't go there. So,
Really?
Yeah, I
D
think
is
so.
easier. Yeah.
I tried it and it confused my fingers something
It's
fierce.
certainly easier on the guitar.
Well,
Yeah.
it would be. That it would be. So
Yes.
yes, they ended up with all their right music. But I did tell them, I said I haven't practiced any of this. I said, so we're okay up to the Hallelujah. And then we're,
And I should have known, because I saw the first song as "Jesus is Risen," and I'm going, we're not singing "Jesus is Risen." We're singing "All Creatures of Our God and King."
but it's the same melody.
So I said and I said that to you, but we evidently didn't connect.
No,
I
that
said,
did not
since
connect.
I said you have this pulled anyway, so you can just use this for all creatures. And yeah, it was just
Yeah.
everything
You
was
were
pointing that
talking
there was an
past
issue.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But that has never happened to me.
Oh.
I have never had that happen.
Well, it's
And
happened to you now.
it has happened to me now. Now I can put it in my book of things that have happened to
That
me.
have happened to you. Yes.
Yes. But there are many other ritual things that are going on. We had one from last week that we ran out of time last week, and we want to address it this week and come back to it again. We talked about it early on. Somebody out in the Midwest was having issue with a DJ at a wedding, and now it seems to be creeping into the Northeast. So we're going to revisit this one again. This phenomena about DJs who are offering their services, liturgical services, and not quite knowing what end is up.
They need to stop.
Or their quasi-liturgical services, yeah.
Right.
I very quiet the one request I had. I very nicely spoke. My contact is the mother of the bride, because everybody's in Florida, and I very easily explained to her that that this wouldn't be a good idea. And I went through the whole pastoral piece. If things go wrong, they don't know the liturgy to know maybe they're going to press the wrong button. So you're going to do. We have been told that the gospel acclamation, for example. Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh my goodness!
And I said to her, I said basically, we don't want your daughter's wedding to become a YouTube moment.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
said-
that was the best line you could use.
I said the pastoral musician is not just to play your music. I said she knows the liturgy. She knows what to do, when to do, why to do it, what not to do, and such. And I said this person is.
And isn't a DJ playing canned music?
Yes.
They're playing canned music, but and this isn't something she looked for. It was interesting. She said to me that they are doing the reception, and they said, well, we could also do the wedding at the church,
Sure, they could.
And see, they should not be doing that.
I agree.
No.
See,
And so then that's absolutely not doing it. I know what my feeling was, and I know what Betty's feeling was, and I confirmed with the pastor, and they're not coming in. That's the
No.
bottom line.
No.
That's not going to happen. Canned music is not going to happen.
We shouldn't be using canned music at liturgy.
don't we have a
Yes.
document that states
But-
that?
But to
Period. Yeah.
But to explain it to the family was just easier to say, this is why you need the human being that knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so, so it worked out. She was fine. She was really fine.
Good.
So we have a document that states that we should not be using
Pre-recorded music.
live music.
This was not the person. This was not what I needed for my argument with this lady. That she needed something closer to her own home. You know.
No.
Meaning she didn't care about she wasn't going to care about my document. In fairness to her, she doesn't know anything about what I'm talking
No,
about.
I
She didn't
understand.
understand it on her
YouTube-
level.
The
You have to
YouTube moment was
explain
a
it to them on their, on a level that they would understand.
And she was really very good about it. So.
Documents are not what anybody really understands.
Right.
So,
I mean,
Which is why I shouldn't be in pastoral ministry some
I mean,
days, because I'm
not,
going to
you know,
Really?
not to go off topic too much from the DJ thing, but the only issue I see with weddings is, and I've encountered this, people that I will meet with that have planning documents from other churches that they get their hands on,
Oh, okay.
and they don't necessarily coincide with our policies at our parish.
And,
That's happened a few times, especially being in a town where we have 3 churches within stone's throw from each other.
Yeah.
Is this something that needs to be taken up a notch to the diocesan level?
yeah,
Well,
I
Joanne-
know every time I
Joanne,
say that,
sadly-
people kind of.
Sadly, I
we
don't.
all laugh.
I mean, let's face it. Weddings are down, so
Right.
I don't see it as a huge problem. And actually, the couples I've met lately are older, and they have good heads on their shoulders.
Well, that's good.
So the crazy requests of maybe 10, 15 years ago, I don't really see those anymore.
I don't see them either.
No.
No, I don't see them either.
Okay.
Well,
I'm wondering, because it seems to be something that we haven't experienced here yet. We're hearing that it's happening more in other parts of the country, but now we're starting to hear that it's creeping into this
Yeah.
area. And
right,
I'm
and there are
wondering-
people that said they have heard in the New England area that they have heard this. Now,
Right.
What they did, I don't know, but they had heard of the issue. So.
I would think it would be difficult to find a foothold here because New England is so conservative in comparison to the rest of the country.
Yes, but we do know we're starting to have a shortage as the priesthood is. So if you get to a parish that has no access to a musician of any sort, whether they be organists, pianists, guitarists, anything like that, and out in the boondocks that could become an issue.
Yes, it could.
Canned music is just an easy solution. Not the solution they should take, but it's an easy solution.
Here's we went through that whole thing with the Father press the button and
Yes.
have the hymn come over the loudspeaker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's sort of the same thing.
Yeah,
is.
karaoke liturgy.
Liturgy, we just sing with the pre-recorded thing. I
Actually,
Protestants do that all the time.
yeah, and there are places I know of that I won't mention that do that.
Oh
So-
yeah.
Oh, I don't want to know.
No, you don't
Actually-
I'm just saying. Yeah.
I know.
If we
And-
ever do, you can't make this stuff up. I have a
Yeah.
funny story about canned music.
We are going. There will be a separate episode.
When it gets stuck.
this
if we
is-
have enough stuff, there will be a separate episode soon.
This
It'll-
was, it's a clash of a recorded piece and human error. Okay,
Oh, jeez.
And that doesn't take much to come together.
and it doesn't take much,
No,
particularly when the fanfare is in like 7/8 time and it's 15 measures long. Okay,
oh, jeez.
it's like, okay, where do we come in?
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy.
This is the scary stuff. And,
Yes.
but this, I mean, and I'm all for technology. Okay, you know me. We wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't all for technology.
No, I like
But my-
technology, but that's not the way to use it.
Right. Exactly, because musicians, I've always been for the live performance. I mean, I never liked karaoke just because it isn't alive. You have to almost sing as if you were the recorded person
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
match what's happening. Yeah, the Luddites who aren't musicians who want to get up there with a couple of drinks in their hands and do karaoke.
But Joanne,
That's fine.
that's where like some musicians are knowledgeable in the MIDI music.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's very unforgiving because the MIDI music being not of human playing, it just goes on. So I tried to use it once at a particular church using the sequencer and with the disc, and it's to me it's very dangerous because it like you said you have to try to match what's pre-recorded, and it doesn't always go that way.
Exactly, because you never play the same thing the same way twice.
That's right.
It's like snowflakes.
Yes.
But I mean, and I used to use a sequencer, but what I used to do was I used to record stuff like prelude-y stuff ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then if I was doing something, I'd push the button.
Yeah.
All right.
So that I could do something else, or while that was playing, so you had something. But playing against it is, I mean, and I did my fair share of MIDI at one point. I was like, no, because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to be really good, and that's why the Milli Vanillis of the world and that kind of stuff drive me crazy. Because you're never going to match up.
No.
And so basically, we don't like the idea of DJs doing church.
No, we don't.
No.
And we don't want them to do funerals either.
No.
Stay outside the church. You've got your reception. Stay there.
Step 1 is one. Step 2 is the other. And if you want to get into things, this is a perfect segue into stepping into things that should not happen. For those of you who do not hear this on Monday, it will be moot to you, and you probably will know the outcome. But what is happening tonight at Harvard University Extension is that one of their clubs is deciding to have a historical reenactment of a satanic black mass. There are conflicting reports that they have actually obtained a consecrated host. Now, for those of you who do not understand what a black mass is, and I had to go back and refresh my memory as to what exactly it is. It is a complete mockery of the Tridentine Mass, okay, from beginning to end. Changed words so that everything points to Satan. And
instead of the worship of God.
Instead of the worship of...
It's the worship of Satan.
Right. Exactly, and you can't take that out of it, historical reenactment or not. This is worse than Ouija board.
Yeah.
And all I can remember is an old pastor of mine saying, if you plan on taking the devil on, you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, there's a lot in the younger generation that don't believe in the power of Satan. Satan has power, and it ain't fun. And if you're invoking and saying, "Hail Satan," okay, as part of this ritual will do, and you are desecrating a consecrated host, what kind of power do you think you're unleashing into this world? So I'm encouraged that a lot of people are taking up a holy hour.
Yes.
And I will be doing that, however, from the comfort of my home, because I can't get out tomorrow night. But I will be taking that holy hour virtually with a whole bunch of other people, because I believe that strongly against what they are doing. And you can't, I applaud Father Roger Landry from St. Bernadette's in Fall River, who is a Harvard alum.
Yeah.
Who actually wrote a very, very well-crafted, pointed letter to the president saying, you can't let this go on, because if it was a Koran burning or if it was something else happening, you'd be all over it. But because it's only historical reenactment.
It's not like they're reenacting the Battle of Gettysburg, for crying out loud.
Right.
It's not just a historical reenactment.
No, it isn't. And the minute I saw it online, I immediately started publicizing it. and getting it out there on Facebook on my own page. I
Yeah.
didn't want to frighten the folks in my parish, but
Yeah.
I got it out on my own page because I think people need to know that this is happening and get behind trying to counter it. And I think what they're doing tonight up at MIT is they're going to have a Eucharistic procession,
Yeah.
believe it or not, from MIT to St. Paul's, which I know is near the Harvard campus. And then they're going to have a holy hour at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So with any luck, the power of good,
Will counteract. Goodness
power
is
of the
stronger
light.
than evil.
it's not just good, it's the light.
Goodness
Because
is
what they're-
stronger than evil.
They don't realize how evil this is.
Mm.
They have no idea in essence.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff is right.
Yeah.
I mean, who thought of this idea?
Well, it's a club that tends to have, from what I understand, Elizabeth Scalia, the anchoress.
Yes.
She is the one who found out, I think, originally about it, and she said the group is called Satanic Temple that's coming in to
Oh,
do it,
gee.
and they are publicity hogs, apparently, and they like to stir trouble. So it is possible that at the 11th hour they could pull this.
So they're bringing a group in called Satanic Temple,
Right.
and they're still maintaining it's a historical reenactment.
Right.
Duh.
And who is the Prince of Lies?
Yeah.
Could it be Satan?
Satan.
If I have to do the church lady here,
The
I
church
will.
lady.
That's right.
right.
You know?
But it's nothing to fool with.
No.
Nothing to fool with.
No.
And
and they
whatever
don't
your
get it.
system of beliefs in is, you cannot under any circumstances call this a freedom of religion thing. Because
Right.
first of all, the Black Mass wouldn't even exist if it weren't for the Catholic Church.
Okay,
So-
now that's
All right?
yes.
You cannot call it, freedom of religion, because it's not a religion, it's a mockery of another religion.
Right. But see, they're looking past that.
Oh, I know.
Because what bothers me when I see this stuff, especially in social media, is that the minute the Catholics complain,
Yes.
what happens?
Catholics can't complain about anything.
No, we can't complain anymore because we've had abuse.
Yes. Because we've had
Okay,
sex abuse
so
scandal.
for the rest of our existence,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to say anything.
No.
It's always interesting to me to see the really horrible, rotten, nasty comments when anything goes on social media. I'm sure you've all taken the time
Yeah.
to read some of them.
Oh, yes.
It's terrible. Terrible.
And we're
and
not
guess
allowed
who that
to
is?
say
Could
anything.
it be Satan? I mean, put the
Yeah.
two and two together
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Okay? Satan is alive and well and weaving his spell all over the place. Now, if you all want to sit there and call me, a devotee of Rosemary's Baby, which I'm not going to watch, by the way, that's coming on. I could care less about it. But I do know the power of Satan.
Sure. Sure.
You can't study theology and not understand that piece of it. We would not be here if it wasn't for Satan. We wouldn't be in this position
Mm-hmm.
that we're in. The fall of Adam and Eve is because of,
Could it be?
Satan.
could it be, Satan? And
Yes.
that's the whole thing. I mean, I don't care if you're an atheist. Atheists know that Satan exists.
Yeah.
Okay? If they don't want to say that God exists, they know that there's an evil and they know that there's a good. And we have named that evil Lucifer / Satan / Prince of Darkness / just about everything else. And this whole thing just sends such a shiver
Yeah.
because I had not heard about black masses. And we know
No.
that sometimes they exist. We know that people can obtain consecrated hosts, and I will say this publicly, and we know that they got them way before we started receiving communion in the hand.
Sure.
All I'm going to say about that.
Sure they did.
So they got them in many different ways, and I have seen kids take them out of their mouth.
Yeah. I've
So-
seen I've seen people receive it on the tongue and then take it out of their mouths. It's like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but, that's what bothers me the most. because when you get the consecrated host, now it's not a reenactment.
No,
It's real.
it's not.
And this is why we need prayers.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
that's why we're all going to pray tomorrow night.
Yes.
So
While
those
this is supposed to be going on.
those of you who are hearing this on Monday, please, if you can set aside some time between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it would be great. You know, you may not think that in your little hovel your prayer will do any good, but yet will.
It will.
It will send a signal to Satan that not all of us are going to buy this crap.
Right.
You know, and we're
Amen.
going to pray for these kids. We
Right.
need to pray for these kids' souls because they don't know what they're unleashing.
No.
They have
I don't
no
know what
clue.
they're messing with.
And I must leave you three ladies.
Oh, we're
Oh,
almost
yes.
done anyway.
All right.
So
Yeah.
It's been a
thank
pleasure.
you.
Time to go.
I'm having some, I think, bandwidth issues, but you're breaking up a little bit. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're kind of fuzzing in and out too.
Yeah.
We weren't going to say anything, but
No, well, I'm at my in-laws, and I don't think their router is strong enough. So.
oh, okay. Well, thanks,
Okay.
Stephen.
Bye.
We appreciate
Bye,
it.
Stephen.
Bye. All right, moving right along from my little tirade about black masses.
Yeah, well, it's not only your little tirade. It
Well.
exists, and we need to counteract it with prayer.
Yeah, we
I
do.
believe there's a line in Scripture that says this type of demon can only be cast out with prayer and fasting. So,
Okay.
and that's from the lips of Jesus. So, prayer
Hey,
and
that
fasting.
gives me an idea. Fasting
go.
is a good thing too.
There we go.
Okay, add that to the mix. Okay, we're gonna delay the technology segment one more week. I'm chomping, but I'll wait one more week. Only because I want to move to the Culture Club, the Catholic Culture Club, because it was announced this week by the Vatican that we're gonna get more new saints and
Yay.
another pope.
Yeah,
Blessed.
blessed.
I didn't think I'd see this in my lifetime.
Really?
Paul VI. He got a miracle.
That's what I read.
Was something about a child, I
Well,
believe. A child who was told in utero that this baby was not going to some kind of an illness, was not going to make it, so that the mother should abort. And
Yes.
the mom didn't, and the kid came out perfectly healthy
Yeah.
because a nun told her to pray to
Yeah.
Paul
VI.
VI. So he's got his first miracle. I
Wow.
never, I can't believe that 3 of the popes,
Yeah.
you
In
know,
our lifetime.
right? That is like so cool.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll see if he makes it to. We'll see when he makes it to saint.
Yeah.
But there are a couple. It seemed to be. I think there were 5 or 6. The majority of them were priests. One was a Jesuit, I remember, and one is a laywoman.
Okay.
So I should have remembered who she was. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
We need more lay men and women
Yeah. Yeah.
in this
As an example of what is possible.
Right. But I was heartened by Pope Francis this week, who was talking about marriage,
Yeah.
and the sanctity of marriage. That
Yeah.
we don't hear that enough.
No, we don't. Because marriage these days is a throwaway commodity.
Mm-hmm.
know-
Marriage.
Once the glow wears off, it's like, let's try another one.
Which I, and it's unfortunate that that's the way society. But again, it's society versus the sacrament.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I do genealogy, I have to have one hobby, and
Yeah.
genealogy happens to be it. And the new genealogical program that I bought for my computer to store all this information in
Uh-huh.
actually makes a distinction between a marriage and a religious marriage.
Oh, okay.
Now, I find that funny because I wouldn't think that way,
Yeah.
but I remembered that the author of this is French. It
Well.
comes from France.
Okay. Okay.
And that's a society where they get married in City Hall, and then if they want, they
have
go
it
to the
blessed.
church,
Uh-huh.
which I think is where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a feeling I see that in...
Considering the way marriage is viewed in this culture.
Yes.
Oh.
I have
And
a
I
feeling.
feel bad. I really do feel bad for these couples who are dooming themselves to perpetual adolescence. They
Ooh, I like that.
really
Go on.
they are falling in love and getting married, and then as soon as the glow wears off, as soon as the dirty socks are on the floor or whatever it is, it's like irreconcilable differences. They never go any deeper than that first glow, and there's so much more depth to married love than that.
Amen, sister. I used
Amen.
to with my kids in high school, and I forget how long we were married at the time. I used to say to them, I've been married at least 5 times to the same man
Yeah, yeah.
because the marriage has changed. Now, I can say this,
Yes.
going on 32 years at the end of this month, the marriage is so different from those two
Yes.
people that got married at St. Brendan's in Riverside, Rhode Island in
Yep.
1982.
Yep.
We're two totally different people. We have been through so much together.
That's right.
Not all of it has been good,
That's right.
but we
But you
came
grow. You
Right.
grow in love for one another, and the other becomes an inextricable part of your DNA, so to speak.
Exactly. And we were brought up in a time where you didn't quit.
That's right.
Yes.
For
Yes.
better or for worse, and some people would say, well, so if he beat you up, then you wouldn't quit.
Yeah,
No, that's not the point.
Not the point.
That's not the point. The point is, it's so easy nowadays, as
Yeah.
you said, to just, well, I don't have to take your,
Yeah.
so I'm going to leave
Yeah.
and
You
go
know-
find somebody else who will take my.
He won't let me buy 5 pairs of shoes every month, and so I can't live like this.
Exactly. I can't. Well, exactly,
What do you mean
and
you
I
have to
can't.
pay a bill.
What do you mean I have to pay a bill? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean I have to take care of the children?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the one who's supposed to take. You work all day. You come home, and I'll hand the
but
kid up.
hey, we
You
did
know-
that together.
Right. Right.
And it's you learn, about each other when you get married. A certain level.
Right.
Once you
Very
have those
fundamental.
kids, you find another whole level that you didn't know existed before.
It's an onion. It's
and
it's
yeah,
one of those,
it's an onion.
One of those
Exactly.
onions.
Yeah.
Where you just keep peeling and peeling.
Exactly.
You cry a
And
lot.
you cry. Yes. And you cry.
Exactly. But
So-
it's just.
But these kids today, they
don't
just
get it.
don't go. I mean, you have marriages that last a day and a half, and these are marriages that are in the news, in the media.
Don't go there. Don't get me
Yeah.
going with reality people and
that's the kind of thing our kids are being exposed to.
I know.
So is it any wonder the divorce rate is through the roof?
And is it any wonder they're basically being counseled, don't get married in the church?
Yeah.
Because it'll be easier for you to get a divorce if your marriage isn't in the
church. Exactly.
Which I think is also contributing to why there's not a lot of weddings.
Of course.
I don't think it's all just people giving up on their faith. I think it's people who, some of them want the wedding, the destination wedding. Some of them want the wedding on the beach. Some of them want they want the country club, or they want the place. And if you've seen any of these other reality shows, the one that's coming back that really makes me frosted is My Big Fat Gypsy American Wedding.
Oh, geez.
Please don't go there. Don't go there. Please. Please.
I see that and I just go, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's another mockery.
Yeah.
We talk about mockery today, and
this
that's
is what our kids are being fed.
I know. And they want or say yes to the dress.
Sure.
There's another one. So
I don't mind that one as much as I mind the first one that you referred
the
to.
gypsy wedding.
Yeah.
I saw one of those and I said, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it again. I mean, and I do have guilty pleasures in reality television. My one big guilty pleasure, and it seems to be, my night for private revelation here.
Yeah.
Is Gene Simmons' Family Jewels.
Oh, geez.
That show makes me laugh because he's so out there and the kids are sane. The kids actually are more grown up than the parents.
Yeah.
Are. So but it also has shown me that Shannon, the wife, he's now married her finally after what he lived with her for like 26 years. But he finally married her. And it's because she finally said, I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Yeah.
If you really love me and the life that we've created and the children that we've created, then you're going to marry me.
Yeah.
And he did. And she put her foot, you know what I mean? She put her foot down and that was it.
I'm sorry it took 26 years, but I'm glad that she finally said it.
Yeah. Yep. But the rest of the reality world is like, are you serious?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, and it's crazy stuff out there. And you're right. The kids are. This is why there's a black mass at Harvard.
They're being fed a steady diet of this crap, and I'm not put too fine a point on it.
And who could be behind it all? Shall we say? Maybe Satan.
I think that's
going to be the name of this episode.
Could it be?
Could it be Satan?
You have to find a picture of Dana Carvey.
Oh, I should. That don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'll do that. Don't tempt me. Because that will be it. Okay. Well, ladies, I think we have come to the end of another podcast.
Yes.
We didn't go too far off the rails. I'm so happy. Sort of. But again, we thank everybody for being with us. We're still hoping that you will send us feedback. The 12 of you, come on. Here's a challenge for you. Like we said, find 12 other people.
Yes.
And get them acquainted with our podcast. And then tell them to get 6 other people acquainted with the podcast. And somebody send us feedback.
Yes.
Let us know how we're doing, what you want to hear.
What you want to hear more of.
And also, if you'd like to sit in with the panel, we're happy to have at least an extra guest a week.
Yes.
If you want to sit in, of course, we'll have to vet you. We'll have to, run down about a 25, questionnaire, and you're going to have to answer it honestly and under a lie detector.
Yeah.
But,
well, you just lost a few people that might have been
lost
interested.
about 4 of our 12 right there
Yes.
off of that one. But no, seriously, we want to know what you're thinking, and we want to know if there's any way we can help you out, service you. So mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com is our email address. If you can like to send us an email, or you can send us the voice feedback, and of course I haven't heard anything. So, but 774-955-0659 is our voice feedback line. And we promise you that we're still working on this podcast. And finally, I have sought the help of someone to fix the problem of our video audience not being able to hear the musical bumpers and all of the music that you will hear on the audio version. So seriously, those of you who are video people, go check out an audio version on iTunes, just so you can, or on the website, which is mondaymorningcatholic.net. I think once you hear the difference, you'll be praying that we can figure out how to get this music in, because it really is a little bit more enhancing. But we thank you so much for putting up with us, for being with us, for grabbing your cup of whatever, and I finished it actually. And joining us each week. So for Stephen, who's already left us, Nancy, and Linda, this is Joanne Mercier saying ciao for now. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.